to another edition of Bunker Office Hours, weekly live show brought to you by the team at Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs dedicated to helping our communities start and grow their own businesses. I'm your host today, the one and only Iron Mike Steadman, coming to you from Newark, New Jersey, joined by my co-host, Amy Warrington, and our guest today, but no stranger to the bunker, Valerie Lavin. Val, what's going on?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back. It's been a minute.
Val's been down in Florida enjoying that lovely weather. She's doing some exciting stuff with Luminary Global, also her nonprofit Action Zone, and just being a staple of the community, champion veteran entrepreneurship, which we're going to get into. But before we do that, I'm going to pass it over to Amy to share any updates from the bunker.
Thanks, Mike. So this week, kind of the same old, same old. So we've got our Black History Month compilation of podcast episodes on our blog. So you can check out Black business owners to follow in the community. And then we've also got our list of conferences and pitch competitions for 2023, also on the blog. So you can check that out there. There's lots of good stuff on the blog. So if you're not following the blog, you should get on that. And then finally, just check out the communities page to check out if there's an event coming up in a community near you. That's kind of it.
Yeah, make sure y'all are checking out that blog. Keith is doing a great job of compiling information to support you out there through written content, tag teaming it with the audio. But really, I want you to make sure you're checking out the blog on a frequent basis because that's some good information, particularly those of you out there that are looking for non-dilutive capital. That's why those pitch competitions and those conferences are so important. And then also those of you that are raising capital. You know, I've had a chance to interview numerous VCs on the Transition podcast. And let me tell y'all, the ones that are investing in veterans are out and about in the community. So if you're looking to raise capital, you need to get out there and start shaking hands and kissing babies in person. No pun intended. Additionally, I want to let you all know I released an episode of the Transition last week with Iona University's Gale Ventures team at the Heinz Institute, and they're providing free business coaching and technical assistance to veteran entrepreneurs and military spouses. So check out that podcast and make sure you check out Iona University if you need a little bit more hand holding and you're feeling stuck. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest today, Valerie Lavin from Luminary Global. Valerie's on brand today. She's rocking her shirt. She's been doing some exciting stuff
This way.
bring us up to speed on. So Val, for people that are not familiar with you, please take a moment and introduce yourself.
So I'm Valerie Lavin. I retired from the Army in 2014. So it's been 9 years this fall. I can't believe it. And started Luminary Global in 2016. We have had a couple of evolutions as we were discussing before the show. But Luminary as it is today, we provide emergency trauma kits, military tactical gear, and prepper items. Our customers range from the average household, which is really 95% of the prepper market, and different agencies, fire rescue, law enforcement, and various military organizations. We just sold a whole bunch of combat lifesaver bags, kits to Fort Benning's medic school. So those are just, some exciting things that we've, exciting customers that we've had recently.
What was your MOS in the Army?
I was a 35 Sierra. I was a SIGINT.
SIGINT. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You got out in 2014. I got out in 2015. And it really has just started to hit me that that was almost 8 years ago for me,
Oh my gosh, I know. It's like a whole decade. I just turned 50 in January. So I'm just, life is just not stopping from the time I got retired to January when I turned 50.
Now, you started Luminary Global, but you had a couple different business models prior to what it is now. And you and I were just talking about before we went live, I had a veteran reach out to me on LinkedIn and said, Mike, what is your advice for a transitioning veteran that's about 18 to 24 months out from transitioning that is interested in pursuing entrepreneurship? And, I'm curious to hear your thoughts because I think like you said, the mindset of entrepreneur is great. Learning how to provide value, learning how to come up with innovative ideas. But the reality of it is when you start talking about that transition, of trying to find your new identity, in the civilian world. Now you're tacking on entrepreneurship on top of it. That can be a lot all at
That's a
once.
lot.
And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think that what I have found, and I've been in this space of entrepreneurship education since 2015, through various positions and programs and grants before launching Luminary and before launching Action Zone with Rosie Lee that everybody knows with Bunker as well. The transitioning veteran isn't the target market. When I retired from the Army, I was 41. I had no children. I wasn't married. My dog had died the year before. I had zero debt. Like, I intentionally set myself up, no car payment, no mortgage, because I wanted to go to school and use my GI Bill before I was introduced to a problem that I thought I was solving when I launched my first business, Veterans Corporate, which was a veteran staffing company. And in that process, it made me realize a couple of things. I don't know how to work alone. I'm much more productive, creative, and effective when I'm working in a team or with a team. And I contribute that obviously to my time in the military. And I'm an extreme extrovert. So sticking me in an office all by myself and me being responsible for making money all alone is miserable. But I think that, and back to your question, the transitioning veterans in planting the seed about entrepreneurship is really important while they're still on combat boots and camouflage, because helping them transition from the military mindset to the entrepreneurial mindset, getting them to recognize that the skills that they gained while serving are applicable to so many industries and so many different positions. I'll just use something, I don't even want to say silly because I don't want to degrade the profession, but event planners. Like, how many events do we plan in the military, from going to the range, major exercises, sergeant's time, all of those kind of skills could translate into being an event planner, which is, essentially the same thing. You're planning an event, all of the agenda, logistics, the manpower, the cost. But somebody would not necessarily translate planning and executing a M16 range or a 9mm range to some big event like a muster. Bunker Lab's old muster events.
I think the reason I bring it up is just I worry sometimes that we glamorize entrepreneurship so much, but people don't realize how much of a grind it is behind the scenes. And I'd be curious to know, when Bunker Lab started, the value prop was, after World War II, like 50% of veterans came back and started businesses, but now I think it's less than like 4% or something crazy. But it was a different time, right? And I also wonder if like entrepreneurship was part of the culture, like in the 40s and the
Right.
50s, as opposed to, it's part of culture now, but people haven't had a lot of swings at the plate, right? Like, it feels unnatural because it's super hard. And so I just think, with transitioning and everything, you start piling that on, you start taking some L's. And one thing that I think vets and mil spouse struggles with is we put so much of our identity in those first ventures, right? So stuff can be doomed to fail from the very beginning, right? Just by the nature of the business model, by nature if it's your first time out the gate. But, we come out swinging. Hey, everybody, my name's Iron Mike. I started this, or I started this. And then your identity is now shifting from the military to this new venture, and you don't want to fail, right? So you keep pushing,
Right.
And it can be devastating when things don't work out.
Well, it's because in the military, like, failure is not an option, because failure could lead to death. I mean, let's just be honest. So you have to accomplish the mission. And when you venture into entrepreneurship, especially very shortly after you've transitioned from the military, you still have that no fail mentality. Like, this is what I've set my mind to. This is my new mission, and I'm not going to fail. I think that the biggest challenge is that there's entrepreneurship isn't just, hey, I got an idea and I'm going to go, sell it and make $1 million. there's a lot of intricacies in starting your own business. And if you don't know from the beginning, starting with ideation, what you're getting yourself into, when big problems arise, you can lose a lot of money. With Luminary, my husband and I run this company together, and it was our fortune. He's from Texas. He got a job here in St. Pete, Florida, near Tampa, to open a franchise, a staffing company. And here he was, 24, 25, 26 years old, and they just said, make it happen. So essentially, he was the franchisee, starting this business for the company that had hired him. And that's where he learned a lot of his entrepreneurial, or got a lot of his entrepreneurial experience, which was very helpful in our company when we were having some challenges. And he'd already experienced some of the things, and he was able to apply. So luckily for me, our pillow talk, my business partner and I have a lot of pillow talk, because it's my husband, and that really helped me learn and grow as an entrepreneur with his experience. And then we applied that to Action Zone.
What's been some of the biggest challenges with Luminary?
Partnerships. One of the and some of the stuff I still can't talk about legally, but we've had 3 legal issues that we've had. Like our lawyer made partner because of our challenges. That we've had to pay him a lot of money, and we went into partnership with other veterans that we knew, not necessarily in a community like Bunker Labs or Action Zone. And I'll talk about why I think that's important for our community in a minute. But even though we had contracts and we did all the legal things we were supposed to do, because they were not I'll just say honest people, just in general, we lost millions of dollars, like millions and millions of dollars. But because of Jeremy's business acumen and knowing numbers and his experience in big losses, as an employee, he was able to make sure we didn't go in debt or bankruptcy. We never faulted on anything in the business or anything personal. So I think that a lot of, and I still get this very often, I'm going into business with this person. We deployed together. I trust him with my life, or her. And I always say, okay, well, get naked, get in bed with that person. And oh, by the way, put them on your personal bank account. Then tell me how much you trust them, because a partnership in business is a divorce from a partnership in business is far worse than a divorce from a spouse. It's painful, it's expensive. And yeah, that would be the biggest lesson I could share with the audience is you're better off trying to figure it out on your own first, so that you know all the ins and outs of your business before bringing in a partner to complement either your lack of expertise or just whatever talents that you have.
100%. And I also think for me, I tell myself, if I do partnerships, I got to be able to walk away and feel fine, right? No ego, no nothing, right? Because it's, people change too, and you grow. And it's one thing when we start talking about, oh yeah, we got this great idea. Val, we get all excited. We're like, yeah, we're going to launch this thing. We get a couple dollars in the bank account. We're like, we validate the business model. Now it's a year. Now it's 2 years. It's 4 years, that tension kind of starts to hit. And so I'm big on telling people too, is make sure your values align with the people that you're doing business with, both the ones that you're partnering with and as well as your clients.
Yeah, because, even if you feel like at the beginning that the values align, like money changes people, power changes people. And with money and power comes a lot of responsibility. And if the partner doesn't realize that and they just want it all for themselves, or, oh, I can do this without, Valerie and Luminary, it's it's very painful.
Now, not only are you running this amazing company, Luminary Global, but you, like me, are a social entrepreneur. So we have a nonprofit as well. Talk to us about Action Zone.
Action Zone is it's doing just absolutely amazing. When we formed Action Zone, we wanted to be sure to stay hyper focused on what our goal was, and that was to help veterans and military spouses and their family members. They're all eligible for our program through ideation, like the most fragile part of the journey, in my opinion, because you got this great idea. Aunt Louisa's spaghetti sauce is everybody in the family loves it. I'm going to bottle it up and I'm going to make $1 million. Not realizing that not everybody's going to like Aunt Louisa's spaghetti sauce like the family, like your family does. So trying to get them to do the groundwork, do their customer discovery, really think about who their avatars are, and how to really go to market with this idea. We try to sever the emotional tie to whatever product service or service that they want to offer, so that they can get to the ground truth. Like, is this business going to work? Do you really have are you really solving a problem for somebody? And something as simple as spaghetti sauce, somebody might think, well, what problem was that solving? And I always followed up with this example. Clean eating, we try to eat clean. There's a spaghetti sauce that most clean eaters like. It's called Rouse, I think, RAOS. And I was in this clean eating group and everybody's raving about it. But then I found a spaghetti sauce that's even cleaner, less calories. So, I'm not a customer of this ROAS, or was it ROAS? Anyway, that spaghetti sauce, I'm a customer of this spaghetti sauce. So just really understanding that, understanding the competition and knowing how to understand your customers is really important. So that's really what Action Zone does. We just did our alumni survey because we applied to be a VBOC, the SBA Veteran Business Outreach Center. And the companies are reporting over 18 million in earned revenue. But the key is 49% of our alumni have completed that survey. And if you've ever had surveys, try to get surveys done, you might be lucky to have 3 to 5%. But the fact that 49% of the alumni decided to take time out of their day, out of their, working their business to fill out the survey, it's pretty phenomenal.
You have been in the trenches with these early stage founders, vets, and mil spouses, both with Action Zone, then your work in Bunker, building out the ambassador program. What is the biggest piece of advice you want our viewers that are in those early stages to walk away with today as they're building out their business?
Well, there are so many programs out there that you can get involved with, but I truly believe that programs that are tactical, not just providing you information to fill your rucksack, are the most valuable. I mean, because you want to get roll your sleeves up, get all in, all the way up to your elbows with building your business, and building your business model and knowing your business. So I think that that's really important. Going to different presentations to me, it's just not going to work. Being honest and have the ability to walk away from an idea is huge. It's so hard. I know how hard it is. It is hard, but that is really, really important. And then I think that the last thing is definitely, and we say this all the time, find your community. People say they'll do business. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. I'm not 100% sold on that. But what I do know is that if you're part of a community like Action Zone or Bunker Labs, and you get a referral, or someone's like, hey, so-and-so's company needs emergency bags, I'm going to introduce them to Valerie. The likelihood that you're going to be taken advantage of when somebody in your community has made a connection, in my opinion, diminishes. It's not always going to be the case, but I think it diminishes the percentage, I guess, of you being taken advantage of. Because if that referral screws you over, I'm going to be like, hey, Mike, you referred this marketing company to me, and I just want to let you know, like, they gave me the invoice, and there was a bunch of hidden costs that, they were trying to get a couple extra $1,000 from me. So, yeah, I think that's why being part of communities like Bunker Labs and Action Zone, or whatever it is in your community, is important, because most of the people have already been vetted, right? They've proven themselves one way or the other to be trustworthy. I also think that in organizations like Bunker Labs and Action Zone, and because we're talking about before, failing is an option for veterans in particular. When you're with a cohort of all veterans or military spouse, and you all don't know how to fail gracefully, because again, failure could lead to death in the military, it's a safer environment to learn to fail.
I think there's a lot to unpack in what you said, but here's what I want to do. I do want to say about the community piece of, I'm always baffled when people hire a digital marketer or some random person and then they get frustrated by it. I'm like, did you vet them? Did you talk to anybody else that knew them? Like, I don't do business with anyone outside of my community, or I'll find out, right? I'll do my own research. But I think that's because we have this like social standard, right? It's like this community standard, because I don't think people in our community want to go to like the military influencer conference and see you and be like, oh man, there's Val. I shammed her out of like 3 invoices. I hope she doesn't say anything. Those kind of things. And so it's super important. And I just want to say, thank you for all the work you've done building out the community, both with Action Zone and in Bunker. Traveling down to Austin or Mick, and all the stuff you're doing was just absolutely amazing. And people saw and appreciated all your effort. And you're one of the reasons that this community and this ecosystem continues to grow. And I'm telling y'all, those have not met Val yet in person. She is a force to be reckoned with. She is, people think I'm a champion of veteran entrepreneurship, but you beat me to the punch.
Well, I can do a little boxing myself. Yeah. Well, I think that I appreciate that, and I'm humbled by that, because I think the world of you. Matter of fact, I listen to the Transition podcast when I'm working out, just for inspiration. And the ones that and I know you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're doing some solo shows on your own, but yeah, there's between those and the interviews you do, so many amazing, profound, just nuggets of goodness.
Appreciate it. As we start to wrap up here, book recs, Val. You got any book recs for our viewers today?
I do. Well, right now I'm reading 1 Million Followers. Where's the camera? It was recommended to me by one of my husband's cousins, who is very entrepreneurial. So I'm, trying to be better with social media, because I'm horrible with it. And yeah, so that's my one book recommendation for today.
My book recommendation is Snow Leopard: How Legendary Writers Create a Category of One. I'm a business author, right? So I'm leveling up my game. Got my first book out, Black Federal Entrepreneur. Make sure you check it out if you haven't. But this is actually one of my mentors, Christopher Lockhead. He's the godfather of what we call category design. And they've got this amazing platform called Category Pirates, where they write these prolific newsletters about category design. They call their newsletters mini books. And what they do is actually start to compile them in hard copies. And so this book is so good, it's my second copy, right? So I've already read a lot of the newsletters featured in this book. Then I bought it on Kindle. And then I was like, you know what? I need the hard copy, because I consume a lot of content. And there's something about being able to highlight and underline and feel stuff, because I keep forgetting things at times. But this is a great book.
Remember, I said I just turned 50. Wait till you turn 50. But I'm the same way. If you can see this, like all my dog ears. I don't read a book without a pen, and I dog ear the shit out of it.
Reading is my piece. I feel like reading is like playing chess for me these days. Grab a go to a coffee shop, grab a good book, sit down and read, and I can just be fully present, because in this digital world, it's hard. It's like you feel plugged in all the time. And so I enjoy
Yeah.
a good book. So
Yeah.
Val, where can people find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Well, LinkedIn, of course, Valerie Ellis Lavin, and they can, go to my website, luminaryglobal.com, and reach me through there. With Action Zone is actionzonetampa.com. If they're in the state of Florida, we haven't ventured outside of the state of Florida, and as of right now, there's no plans to do that. It's just a lot of work to build and grow a national organization, as we know. And yeah, that's it. Those are the ways to find me.
Well, we appreciate having you. And for all our viewers, I want to go ahead and acknowledge our sponsors for the Transition Podcast, and that's MetLife Foundation. We appreciate you. They're doing amazing stuff for the veteran community. And not only are we able to do this show, but again, produce weekly audio content for you all, so you don't feel like you're going at it alone. Again, if you haven't listened to last week's episode with the team from the Heinz Institute at Allen University, I strongly encourage you to check that out. And this Thursday, I'm releasing an episode with Darren Barrow from Veteran Ventures Capital. So I've been doing some ecosystem mapping, getting all the veteran venture funds on the platform, looking for also alternative source of funding, whether it's banks, grant makers, etc. Because we've been at this for so long now, Val, that there really is a roadmap that we can pass along to people. But I'm always surprised that people still haven't heard about Bunker, haven't heard about the PenFed Foundation, haven't heard about Action Zone. So the more we can do to get the word and information out, the more we can start to connect this community. So make sure you tune into the Transition Podcast for that. Until next time, everyone, peace, love. Have a great